Hello, and welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we'll be looking at the Challenge Cup final from the Barnet League. We'll be looking at the big game at the top of the Barnet League as well. We'll be looking at other fixtures in the Barnet League, and we'll be looking at the big fixture in the OBSFL this weekend. So starting off, the Challenge Cup final, AFC Oakwood versus Highgate Albion. AFC Oakwood coming into this game unbeaten. They've had a very good season, a team that's invested very much in their playing squad, behind the scenes as well. Come up from Division 3, we actually played them last season. Very good side, play the ball, play good football, want to get the ball down and stuff like that. Very tricky wingers, and they've had a fantastic season, and they're going to be fighting with the Wrong'uns for the Division 1 title. That game happens in a few weeks' time, I think 2 weeks' time, double header to decide the title. So that will be very interesting. But moving on to the final, Oakwood come in as underdogs, even though they're unbeaten. They face Highgate Albion, who are top of the division, the Premier Division table at the moment. And despite having a bad start to the season, actually lost 6-3 first game of the season to AC Finchley, who are currently near the bottom of the table. So they've recovered really well from that. And so the final was held at Haringey Borough Stadium. I didn't actually go. I did want to go. I just had work, so I couldn't make it. But so first half, Highgate Albion take the lead. Midway through the second half, they double their lead. Oakwood peg them back, get one back, and set up a tense finish. But Highgate seal the win 3-1 and pick up the Challenge Cup trophy. Obviously, we've had bit of disruption with the cups in the Barnet League, and they've obviously had to be shortened. But especially in this supplementary Premier Cup, there was a lot of very high quality, very tense affairs, very good games. For example, Uslot versus Takers. You had the Bandits versus Oakwood. You had Oakwood versus the Wrong'uns as well. And we actually managed to see a Highgate Albion versus Takers matchup before they meet on the weekend. So very well done to Highgate Albion. They pick up their first piece of silverware this season. They could add the Premier Division title, but it will be very reliant on what happens in the weekend. So we're going to look at what happens on the weekend now. We're going to preview that, not review that. We're not time travelers. So the preview for that is coming up. Highgate Albion face Takers. It's at Enfield Playing Fields. I don't know if their home ground's unavailable, but they usually don't play at Enfield Playing Fields, but they are this weekend. Big game, really big game. They're both on 34 points. Takers have 2 games in hand, but with an inferior goal difference. So Highgate Albion really need 2 wins. 2 wins for Highgate Albion would put them in a really good position here. A really strong position for Highgate Albion if they pick up the 2 wins from these 2 games. And I think they have to, because I think Takers will win those remaining games, and if they do win those remaining games, they will win the title. Key men to look out for, I'd say Solomon Afori up front for Highgate Albion. He's really good at getting in between the lines of defenders. You could see that in the game against Rising Ballers. He gets played through and he's rapid, and if he gets in between your defenders, it's good night, because not a lot of players are catching him. Very composed finish from him. I felt that Highgate Albion were fantastic in that second game against Rising Ballers. Obviously, we can talk about some of the physicality and stuff like that. It does happen in Sunday League. It's it's a thing that happens where teams are a lot more physical towards teams with skillful players. Um, it's just the way things happen, and people say protect my players, protect my players. It happens to everyone, you know. It happens to everyone has skillful players, and at the end of the day, those skillful players are the ones that are going to cop a lot of treatment. It happens with players in my team as well. It happens with opposition players we play against. You know, the skillful players sadly end up getting a lot of, you know, unwanted attention, and I think maybe refs need to kind of clamp down on that. You know, maybe start whipping out the yellow cards if people get a bit too, you know, over the top with their tackles. But yeah, they responded really well, you know, in that game. They lost the first game 2-0 and came back and picked up the win in the second game 3-1. So and that kept their hopes alive, and that pretty much ended Rising Ballers' hopes of winning a Premier Division title. I don't know where Rising Ballers go from here, what they do next season. It was a really kind of weird season for them. They'd smashed a lot of teams in the league this season, but when it came to the important moments, they kind of failed, and it'll be a season where they kind of reflect on what they've done well and what they haven't done. For me, obviously they're in a kind of different pond to these teams, your Highgate Albions, your Takers, even the other teams across the Sunday League scene like SC Dons and stuff like that. They're, as I've always said, their main aim is to get players back into the pro scene, get them playing at a good level and stuff like that. Their aim is not really to win a lot of trophies and stuff. Obviously, they want to win trophies because trophies equal, you know, more exposure, and, you know, scouts will be at stuff like London Cup finals and stuff like that. My main issue is, again, are some of these players taking the Sunday League games as seriously as the games where they're doing trials, playing trial games and stuff like that? Are they taking these games as seriously? Because you've got to realise, as I've said it numerous times, a lot of players in Sunday League at this highest level, at the top level, is you know, are semi-pro players. You know, really talented players. And yeah, I'm gonna leave that, and we're gonna go on to Takers, who have an abundance of talent. And we mentioned Solomon Afori up front for Highgate Albion. I just want to mention one of Taker's key players as well. We're going to obviously discuss Rondo, Reece Ellis in the midfield. He's kind of a, you know, what's it called? He's kind of a utility player. He's a utility player, and obviously he's been very important for them this season. But I want to just go over one of the guys that maybe you don't see, you know, who doesn't really get the attention that he deserves. And I think that's Ben, their centre-back. He's been really solid this season, you know. Obviously, they've missed EZ a lot this season. He hasn't really played. But Ben in the defence has been fantastic. A very strong player, very good on the ball. And I think he's been one of the main factors to this team's improvement. Obviously, they were really good in Division 1, but Division 1 and the Premier Division in the Barnet League is different cake. It's different, you know, different gravy. And I think Ben has been one of the most important parts, most important cogs of the thing. Sorry if I went off screen now. I was just actually trying to check what his name was. I know it was Ben. I wanted to give him his surname, but I just couldn't find it on the sheet. He's there. But yeah, So yeah, just massive shout out to Ben. He's been fantastic. You've got obviously players like Half the keeper has been very important. You've got other players like Magic as well. You've got players like Menace. A lot of players contributing to takers, and they've got fantastic depth as well. And it's going to be a battle between the managers as well. You got Adam from Highgate Albion, a very respected manager in the league, and you've got Apple from Takers, who has kind of, pardon the pun, taken them to the next level. Oh my goodness, that is cringe. But yeah, so it's going to be a fantastic view. I'll probably get down to watching the second game because we are playing at Enfield playing fields as well. So I will probably go and watch the second game. It's going to be fantastic to see, and I think the first game is going to be really important. If Highgate Albion can nick that first game, they will feel really confident going into the second game. But I can't see Takers not at least picking up some points. You know, I will go for a win apiece, and that will suit Takers down to the ground. They've been fantastic this season. Their first season in the Premier Division, and they look like they're going to be taking the Premier Division title. And they are in the Middlesex Premier Cup final. They are facing Shire United. Shire United actually knocked out Highgate Albion in the first round of this cup as well. I think they beat them 4-1. So they are obviously a team to look out for as well. Moving on to Division 2, where we have the big game. It's us, AFC Rose, taking on Shentry Athletic. And this is a mammoth game for us. We go into the game 1 point behind Shentry, and we played one game more than them. So a win is needed for us to help our title aspirations, or really, you know, it's valuable. It's win or nothing for us. So we are going to be promoted. I know the obviously the system is different. It's not actually, if you're top two, you get practice. It's done on kind of systems and stuff, and they kind of promote teams and relegate teams, or due to circumstances and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure they will probably promote us. We've been really good this season. Only lost one game in the league. We've only lost once this season in 90 minutes as well, and that was the cup game. The other two losses, one came in a double header and one came in extra time. So obviously off the back of a very unfortunate loss in the London Cup semi-finals against Selhurst. Just want to talk about that quickly. It was a fantastic performance from the boys. We're really unfortunate. Obviously, we can dwell on the error from the linesman, and for me, it's not the error that's the most important thing here. It's the manner of the linesman, the manner of his words when he was questioned about where he was, and him saying, "Oh, you don't know why they tell me how to do my job." Linesman, you're 15 yards away from the play, and you're talking about you're telling the line or the players that you can't do your job properly. Like for the whole match, he was out of place, and we don't have the rights to say, linesman, you're not doing your job properly. Like, when it's clear as day, we're not like having a go at him for making a minute error. That's the problem with kind of, I know, like, the abuse of referees is a really big issue, because sometimes a lot of times the referees do not deserve the abuse, 85-90% of the time. But sometimes it's I wouldn't say it's warranted. Abuse is never warranted, but like if you're saying to a linesman you've made a really bad decision, and you get like like a sarcastic response like that when the linesman has been at fault, you feel really upset because that was a really important moment in the game, and because the linesman had been out of position by a considerable distance, he couldn't see a clear decision, and you know, and I don't get it because why do you not expect players and why do you not expect management to be upset with decisions like that? Um, it really baffles me. But as I said, the Selhurst boys, they were fantastic as well. They were a really good team um, for the whole 120 minutes. Technically they were very good. They had some very good players, the wingers, even the guys, some of the guys, not all the guys that come off the bench. Um, Especially that striker that come off the bench. He was very good. He had very good movement and stuff like that. It was very tricky. Yeah, they were a really good team, and I think they'll kind of walk the final. I before the game thought if we win this game, we'll win the final because they're easily the best team that we'll end up facing, and I think they'll win the final pretty comfortably. So moving on, big game against Shentry Athletic at the weekend. We need to bounce back, and hopefully we will. I think we played with a lot more intensity, and I think we've got to just play with a smile. I think playing with a smile, enjoy the game. I think over the last few months we haven't been playing with a smile. We've been kind of enamored with unbeaten streaks and things like that, and it's kind of hindered our play. I think that if we can play with a smile this weekend, if we can enjoy the game, I think we'll pull out a victory. Shendry are a bit weird because like last few years they haven't been known for their attacking play. They've been kind of more of a team that have been very hard to break down, very organised. But this year they've kind of gone against the grain and kind of turned into a team who can attack you a bit more productively and stuff like that. And they've come out of the woodwork because I wouldn't have expected them to be our main challengers for the title this year. I would have expected maybe a GTFA or Grange Park to be our nearest challengers, but it's been Shentry, and they've been really good, and they also deserve their promotion to Division 1. I think they've improved their squad as well, and good luck to them next year as well if they join us in Division 1, because they obviously deserve it as well. We're going to look at the OBDSFL this season. Now. Big game at the top of the table in the senior division. It's Kennywell and SE Dons, double header. SE Dons on the brink of winning their first title in the Orpington and Bromley. I think this is their first title anyway, but let's go into it. So SE Dons are first. They've got 37 points from 16 games, so they've got 4 games left. Kennywell are in 4th place. They're on 24 points, but they played 2 games less than SE Dons. It's a 13-point gap at the moment. Kennywell can close it to 7, but in my view, this league is pretty much done. Even if Kennywell can secure the 6 points and pick up a double win over SE Dons, obviously Kennywell will still have 4 games left, but SE Dons would only have to win those last 2 games to win the title. I don't even know who they play. Their last 2 games would be against Kamazi and Farnborough. Obviously, they drew against Farnborough a couple of weeks ago, so you never know. And especially in the OBDSFL senior division, you never know what could happen. So obviously, SE Dons will be focusing on at least picking up a win against Kennywell this weekend. And I'm pretty sure if SC Dons at least pick up a win, the title will be 99% in the bag. I think if they pick up 4 points, they will win the title. You can obviously read the reactions or listen to the reactions on that on the Celt podcast with Andrew and crew on the Sunday League show. They will be discussing the OBSFL fixtures, results. They also give fixtures, as well as the action from Westfart and CMSFL. Where you get all your good podcasts and stuff like that. So SC Dons, I think, will pick up the title this weekend. I can see them at least picking up 4 points against Kennywell. Kennywell have had a pretty good season, They've gone under the radar, unlucky on the week to lose to Milan Beatties by the odd goal. But obviously, I've heard Milan Beatties were fantastic, and congratulations to Milan Beatties because obviously it was a very turbulent time in the summer when you had the kind of split between Beatties and the Milan Beatties, and obviously they lost a lot of players. A lot of players went over to play in the Essex Corinthian League with Beatties, and Will and all them guys went over to play there, and a few guys stayed with Justin and pretty much continued what they do on the marshes, winning another title. Obviously, the management team as well with Justin, Jamie and Kiers were fantastic this season, and they've got Milan Beatties to their first ever London Cup final. Obviously he couldn't do it with Beatties' squad, and but I think Justin and Jamie and the crew will be very proud of the players' efforts. Give them a lot of credit, and it looks like they'll have a fantastic final against Grand Athletic. I don't know where they'll play it. Probably somewhere like East London or just over the river, maybe. So it's better for both squads. But it should be a fantastic final, and obviously we might cover it on a pod or video when it happens. But obviously next week we're going to look actually forward into the future. We're going to look into the future and discuss the Division 1 title decider as well, just to get a bit more content in the Barnet League. AFC Oakwood facing the Wrong'uns double header. I think AFC Oakwood only need 4 points from it. 4 points will be enough for AFC Oakwood. They are, let's check it out. So the Division 1 table currently sees the Wrong'uns in top spot on 36 points. AFC Oakwood are in second on 32. They have played 2 games less than them. So obviously the 2 games against the Wrong'uns only have 2 games left, and Oakwood have the 4 games left. They have a double header coming up this week against Locomotive Thunder. Should be a 6 points for the Oakwood boys. I can't see Locomotive Thunder causing them too much problems. But obviously, it goes into next week where if Oakwood win this game, if Oakwood win the 2 games they have in hand this weekend, they'll go into the lead in the table by 2 points, and then they'll only need the 4 points from the. No, they'll only need 3 points actually. They'll only need to win one of the doubleheader to win the league. So it's very important this weekend for AFC Oakwood to pick up the 6 points, and then they'll only need 1 win from the doubleheader against the Wrong'uns. But it's been a fantastic season for both these teams. They've kind of split away from the pack. Obviously, Kadaris Town have been very good this season, you know, or they've been, or yeah. To be honest, they were a mid-table team. They're going to end up finishing third in the table. Highgate Albion Reserves have had a decent season, and then you've had a mix of everyone else. But yeah, the Wrong'uns and AFC Oakwood have been the two predominantly dominant teams in that division, and I hope to see them in the Premier Division next season because they deserve it on the back of these performances that they've showed. That's the end of the end of the show. The end of the big show. Yeah, so that's the end of the show. We'll be back soon. I don't know when. Remember to like, subscribe, drop a comment, leave your predictions for the big game of the weekend, AFC Rose versus Gentry. I'm joking. That is actually a big game. Sorry. Highgate Albion versus Takers, and I will see you down the road. Thank you.